Roll it live. Okay, welcome everyone. This is our May 7th regular town council meeting, and if we could have a roll call vote, please.
Morris?
Yes.
Cole? Here. Edwards? Here. Lee?
Here.
Lee?
Here.
Passanello? Shannon?
Here.
All right, today we have a Boy Scout Troop 1882 and Robert and Jeffrey Lazar here to lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance. You want to come up to maybe the mic there?
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great, thank you. Next is our invocation. We have the privilege of having Reverend Ruth Ann Sawyer from Haymarket Baptist Church here, which also is, she's going to give us information about Mrs. Haymarket and the competition and how it went down there.
I had the privilege the past 9 months, I was chosen out of about 300 applicants across the state of Virginia to get into the top 16 and represent the state of, or the town of Haymarket in this Mrs. Virginia pageant. And it was 2 weeks ago in South Hill, Virginia. And I had the most wonderful time. It was, does that mean? It doesn't ever stop me. But it was never on my bucket list. It was never anything that I ever thought I would do. I was found at a fashion show for cancer. I'm two-time stage 3 cancer survivor. And I sent in my stuff, just regular pictures, and got it. And they give you the locality of where you live. And I live in Nooksville, but I'm the associate pastor at Haymarket Baptist Church, and I've been a member there for the past 18 years. And this is my home. I spend about 100 hours a week in that building, and I love everything about this town. I love the board. I love the quaintness of it. I love the smell of it. I love the restaurants, and I love everything about it. And it was such an incredible honor to represent Haymarket at the pageant. There were 400 tickets available, and each contestant had to sell 10. And so there were 220 left. And of the 220, I sold 76 of them. Wow. So we had a massive showing from the town of Haymarket, and I'm from Richmond. And it was really neat to see members of the congregation and the community step out and root for Haymarket. And so I should have brought more. I can get more made. But we did have these made up because for the first time, Haymarket has never been in the Mrs. Virginia pageant on a state or national stage. So, David, this is for you.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. That's great. That's, oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome. So of the 300 that applied, I got to the top 16, and then I made it to the top 12. And I think it was because in the evening gown competition, I left my husband on stage. He walks you out, and you're supposed to go from one side of the stage to the other. And my dad has brain cancer, and he had just had surgery. I didn't know he'd be in the audience. And so I came to the other side of the stage, and I saw him there, and I was so enchanted to see him. I was blown away, and so I posed, and I turned around, and then I walked up the stage, and I said, Dan, and I turned back around to get him. And everybody laughed it off, but we've been married for 20 years. So I did end up winning 3 awards that night for photogenic and the marriage longevity and the most tickets. And it was really neat to have the town represented in that way. So thank you for that incredible honor. And thank you for your support. I appreciate
Good
it
applause.
so much.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yeah.
I usually don't ask for prayer requests, but I will tonight. Are there any prayer requests here tonight that you'd like to bring forth before we pray? Okay. We're happy to have you here tonight. I'm glad you're out. Amen. All right. I do have 2 in particular. I'd like to ask that we remember and remind the citizens of Haymarket about the grace and dignity of an American icon, Barbara Bush, who lost her life, and her contributions to our society as a wife and a mother, grandmother, and the First Lady of the United States for so long. Whenever we wear pearls or navy, we think of her, and we embody that. She was very strong on women empowerment, and she's a good woman to remember tonight. She is gone to us, but she wouldn't come back if she tried. She is happy where she is. And also, our sympathies go out to Mayor Leake on the passing of your father. He had a very long illness, and I pray for you and your children and your family and your wife. I'm so sorry for that passing as well.
Thank you. Yeah.
Let's go to the Lord in prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for the blessing to come together tonight as a town after an election, and you have put forth the leaders in which you intended, and we're so grateful for that. We know that they will implement the plan that you have for this town and this community to the very best of their ability. Father, we give them all of the honor and respect and authority as passed down in the Bible from your words to us tonight. Father, we thank you for these prayer requests that were brought forth tonight, both spoken and unspoken. We do thank you for the life of Barbara Bush, and we thank you for the honor in which she served our country and our nation and her husband and her family. We also thank you, Father, for the spiritual gifts and talents that you instilled in David Leake through his father. We thank you for the life that he lived among us. We ask you to surround this family with peace and presence and your comfort during this time of grief and discernment. Father, we thank you so much for the blessing of this neighbor to come. Despite her ALS and despite her disease, she is here, and she's not letting it define her. And I'm grateful for her presence here tonight, Father, as she can still be a member of this community and make decisions accordingly. Father, we ask you to be with all of the decisions made here tonight, those that are brought forth to us. We ask you that the decisions be made for your glory and honor always. Guide, direct us, and lead us during this next hour and this meeting and as we go home. Father, we love you. It is in your Son's name we pray. Amen.
Thank you. Okay. I'm going to switch it up here. We're going to go for our next item is going to be our proclamation for ALS Awareness Month. I think we have something that we need to read, and then, of course, we're going to go across the street afterwards. So why don't we go over to little podium over there.
Debbie, thank you guys for showing up. Most of you guys probably know Steve Aiken served on the Haymarket Town Council for many years, his last post being the vice mayor, and he couldn't have done what he did without the support, the love and support of Miss Debbie. So thank you for all that you've done to the town. A proclamation to observe Amyotrophic Lateral Sclerosis Awareness Month. Whereas amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, or ALS, is better known as Lou Gehrig's disease And whereas ALS is a fatal neurodegenerative disease characterized by a progressive degeneration of motor nerve cells in the brain, upper motor neurons, and spinal cord, lower motor neurons. And whereas ALS affects as many as 30,000 people in the United States, with 5,000 new cases diagnosed each year. And whereas most people who develop ALS are between the ages of 40 and 70, although the disease can occur at a younger age. And whereas on average, patients diagnosed with ALS only survive 2 to 5 years from the time of diagnosis, and whereas ALS has no known cause, means of prevention, or cure, and whereas education and awareness are essential tools in support of research efforts to eradicate this terrible disease, and whereas observance of ALS Awareness Month is an effort to increase the public's awareness of ALS patients' circumstances and acknowledge the severe impact this disease has not only on the patient but on his or her family, friends, and community. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Town Council of Haymarket, Virginia, does hereby recognize the month of May 2018 as ALS Awareness Month and urge all citizens to support efforts and activities to bring awareness and education in the race to finding the causes, means of prevention, and a cure for ALS during the month of May and throughout the year, in witness thereof the 7th day of May, 2018.
Across the street.
All right, we are back. All right, our next item on our agenda will be our minutes of approval. We're on page 2, page 814. We can take these all at once, or?
Okay. I make a motion to approve the minutes from the regular meeting, April 2nd, 2018, council work session, April 10th, 2018, and the special meeting, April 16th, 2018.
I second.
Okay, second by Councilman Leake. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Abstain? All right, unanimous. All right, our next item is our citizens' time. Chance for our citizens to hear from them. If we could just have you come up to the podium to speak, giving your name and address for the record.
Bob Weir, 6853 St. Paul Drive. I'll start off with some somewhat good news. I'm not entirely sure it's good news. The Haymarket power line issue is not quite over yet. It's a step closer as of today. For those who aren't aware, the need for the project was finally affirmed by the hearing examiner today, but he refused to rule on the stipulated agreement requiring the burial of the hybrid line. That will be up to the SCC judges and us jumping through the legislative hoops to ensure that the hybrid option is the one that's built, but judging by the time frame that's been presented to us, we should have a final answer by July 8th. Let's just hope nothing else happens between now and then, although it's interesting the hearing examiner blamed the residents of this area for essentially being too involved, drawing the process out and playing dirty pool and getting what we wanted. I'm not particularly concerned with how he feels. That being said, there are statutes and policies in place to protect both the town and its residents, and I got a sense that some of those are being ignored. And I'd like a clarification from the council, if not from the town attorney at some point, regarding votes at work sessions on agenda items that weren't there. Past policies and practices of the town, and to my knowledge, every other jurisdiction in the state, do not allow for the addition of agenda items and votes at work sessions that you have published as a work session. They are not appropriate for recorded votes. It's pretty much a standard within the state. And to my view, adding an agenda item to a public work session that doesn't have a scheduled vote to it may well be in violation of the various FOIA statutes, and sure is in violation of the town charter and the provisions within the town charter which prevent you from adding agenda items at special meetings. You might want to go back and take a look at that. That being the case, it sort of calls into question the validity of the fairgrounds rezoning application being referred to the Planning Commission, and I would question the Planning Commission's haste in scheduling a public hearing for that matter before staff has had a chance to put together their report or collect the various comments from all the state and local agencies that need to comment on that. Also, in today's packet, your P&Ls through March 18th are rife with errors. Either somebody can't use a spreadsheet or somebody can't use a calculator. Your revenues are overstated, and some of your expenditure line items are overstated, and your net for the year to date is wrong by tens of thousands of dollars. As a result of those mistakes, I've got no faith in any of the line items within the spreadsheet. I don't know the numbers, and that means you guys don't know the numbers. So somebody really needs to take a look at that. I watched the tapes of the last couple of meetings, and I've got two things I'd like to say. Ms. Edwards, you claim that the town's been rather generous with the rate, that being the real estate rate. An 18% increase in taxes paid last year is not generous. A compounded 27% increase over the last 2 years is not generous, particularly given the additional taxes we've got to pay the county this year, the additional taxes we have to pay the state, plus all of the little taxes that we have to pay that no other jurisdictions outside of Nova and Tidewater have to pay, additional transportation taxes, additional sales taxes, fuel taxes, the new fuel tax floor. We're getting nickeled and dimed to death, and the generosity of the town in increasing our taxes by 27% over 2 years isn't all that generous. Mr. Leake, you claimed at the last meeting that the town has always been in the black. That is not the case. Your own CAFRs show that the town has not been in the black since June of 2014. The numbers don't lie. And there are some rather striking documents, 2016 being the best example. 2016 Statement of Activities from the CAFR that you guys adopted. Change in net position, negative $208,996. That might be explained by capital expenditures. It's not. If you look at your ordinary revenues, back out the grants, and back out the expenditures for capital improvements, your revenue stream did not cover your operational expenses to the tune of $137,222. For the year, you were $770,733 upside down. That is not operating in the black, and it's now 4 years in a row. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, sir. Anybody else would like to address the council?
Hello, my name is Jim Payne, 15073 Valhalla Court, Haymarket, also 6680 Fayette Street, right down here, Dog's Day Out. The reason I'm up here tonight to speak is about the transition of the permitting process to Prince William County from Haymarket. Now, I know that went into effect, I think, on January 15th of this year. Believe it was decided at a previous meeting. I'm not sure what the date of it was, and I didn't look at it, and I don't have timestamps for you. But I know that was done, and I don't think that we had a public hearing. I know I've been through a few public hearings with what we're doing, and obviously gave the residents, people around us, a chance to give some input. Now, this affects not only businesses coming in, but also businesses that are trying to develop, and it also would affect someone that says wants to, put a deck on their back, off their back of their house. So now, instead of coming to the town of Haymarket Town Hall and get the permitting process started, they have to go to Prince William County Courthouse and basically take a ticket and wait and sit down, and they'll call you up and your number comes up. And it's a fairly not a very comfortable, not as friendly as say coming in here, seeing Denise or Emily's smiling face, and they kind of more personal. You feel not so much of a little fish in a big pond. And I'm glad we don't have one of those machines here. So I know that that affects a lot more people than, say, what we were doing. And I don't know what regulation allows or doesn't allow that to happen. I just know that didn't feel right, and especially if you're of the elderly generation, going through a process like that to Prince William County Courthouse would feel not only uncomfortable but very foreign, and probably be even harder. So I'm up here tonight just to ask you to maybe take another look at that. I know you might have had some problems with your previous contractor that provided that service, but there are other people out there that probably will provide that might fit better. And like your website says, you provide a full town or full local government. But taking that service away and farming it out to Prince William kind of, to me, feels like it's a little bit less of a full government, local government. And I just hope nothing else goes the way of that, because you do provide some great services that we really love looking around different places that you kept that in-house. That meant a lot, that we could do everything under one roof, and that we could come here and see the people and have more of a personalized interaction. That meant a lot, and I'm very sorry that's not the case right now. So, and let me congratulate you guys for winning re-election. I happened to be there that night. Thank you for letting me be there. That was very special, and I thank you for your time and consideration, and I wish you have a good night.
Great. Thank you. Thank you very much, sir.
You just thought you were going to get away with
Yeah,
that.
it's like that My Pillow commercial. I know you would.
I want to ditto everything Mr. Payne said. As one of those elderly that he's talking about, I don't want to have to go to Prince William County to get permits. And I understand where at least two of you are coming from, because you came to Haymarket 21 years ago when we were still having major growing pains, and we did not have a good inspector, and your own personal home suffered because of that. But we did get better people. We had someone who helped write the Virginia Code, who was here for a long time. And I know when he went through my house, he went through it with a fine-tooth comb. So it's possible to get a retired person from another county, and it doesn't have to cost an arm and a leg. I've heard said from this room that, or from at least one of you, that everything can be done online. Well, us elderly don't always know how to do that. So I don't want to have to drive 45 minutes to an hour and 15 minutes to Prince William County. I really want to see us reverse that. In addition, that was a recommendation made to you by a staff person, not a resident, a staff person. And that decision was made by you as our representatives without a public hearing. That is painful. In all my years of serving the town, which was more than 20, 4 terms at least as an elected official, 20 years on the Planning Commission, either as straight on the Planning Commission or liaison from another board, we never did things like that. We also didn't spend so much time back in executive sessions. I realize when there's a staff position, you need to go into executive sessions, but decisions should be made with the public's knowledge and with the public being involved, especially when they're that big. I would have said more about this before, but I wanted you to be elected. I didn't want to affect the election in a negative manner, but it's not going to rest easy. The other thing, there are 2 other subjects. How many minutes do I have?
We're still good. Go ahead.
Okay.
I'll let you know.
I want to say, in response to what Mr. Weir has just said, he was on the town council when major foolish expenditures were done. When the building that the town was taking in $5,000 a month rent on was torn down at the cost of $200,000 to the taxpayers, and we just have a patch of grass to replace it, not even a parking space where it was. And then expenditures in legal fees, fighting the lawsuit that came from that because it was leased by someone who was paying that $5,000 a month rent. Then there was a purchase of what is now your town park to the tune of $1.2 or $4 million while he was in that position. So if things get a little tight at times around here, it could be because you're servicing all that debt. That's all I'm going to say about that. While I was going around trying to drum up votes for you all, I heard many, many times that there needs to be a major shakeup of the ARB. I have documents that show where and how the decisions were made, that actual ARB guidelines were set up. I don't know if they still have them, but somebody better be looking at it. People don't want to see any more contemporary houses, and they consider the ones on Blight Drive a blight on Haymarket. So I don't know how those got done. I don't know how this plastic sign out here that I've mentioned several times with Washington Street Realty on one of the town's most historic buildings, our historic post office, that was important enough to restore and put a royal blue roof on to go with the orange roof on the other side of the parking lot. So I don't know how those things got done, but there needs to be some changes in who's there and what they're doing with that position and what guidelines they're using. Have peace, everybody.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. Hi, welcome.
My name's Debbie D'Alessandro, and I live at 14947 Madison Court. And I came tonight because, well, there's, people talking in the neighborhood, so on and so forth, about the BB&T Bank and what's going in over there. And, we live right there. And on Tuesday or Wednesday, a young man came to our door from a funeral home, cremorium, that's trying to buy that spot or rent that spot or whatever, and my jaw dropped. And I don't know, and that's why I said, you know what, I need to find out what's going on. Don't want to listen to everybody. I want to find out what's going on with that piece of property, because what goes in there directly affects us. That would directly affect us. So I'm just asking that you please consider us. We've been there a long time. A lot of people have been there, the original owners of those houses there. We're proud of our little community. I personally love Haymarket. Lived here since 2003. Absolutely love being here. But please, please consider what goes in there. I don't know what you had involvement with it or whatever. I mean, I don't know. But when he came to our home, I was just shocked. And it set me back. And I was talking to some of the neighbors, and I said, I'm going to the meeting. This is the first time, but hopefully it won't be the last, because I want to continue to be involved, because I love this place. So I don't know if you give me any feedback now or later, that would be fine. But
Right. Well, Citizens Time is usually this chance to hear from you. I would like for you, if either when you leave, to grab a card on the back that says Emily's name on it, and then maybe you can get with her as far as this visit. This is the first we've heard of it. We weren't aware that someone's going door to door, but we would like to know who. And but businesses are restricted based on the business type, the district. There's a lot of factors. And I think just recently, as you saw this week, the sign came up that it's going to auction. So, we know it's been for sale for a while.
Yeah.
We've known that there's certain companies have shown interest in the building, but
Right.
there's some limitations because of that. It doesn't have public water, it has a
Well,
well, and
yes.
it doesn't have public sewer. So there's some issues there that
Right.
the new owners will have to deal with. But
Right.
definitely speak to Emily or grab her card, and we
Absolutely.
would definitely like to hear more about your visit there.
All right,
But,
I
yes.
appreciate it.
No, thank you, and thank you for coming out. We appreciate it. Okay, anyone else would like to speak during citizens' time? All right, we're going to go to our next item is a mayor's announcement. Yeah, no. I'm going to step off the dice and we're going to come over here to the side here. This is my first thing. Mr. Vilstad, you can step up here. Probably wondering why you were here tonight, but then maybe you didn't. So, this is our first annual Mayor's Haymarket Volunteer of the Year Award. And I just want to start out with letting you know that Lonnie, back on March the 4th, 1997, if you forgot the date, came to join us in the town of Haymarket. At that time, the town police department consisted of just one officer. In 1998, the mayor at the time felt that the growth of the town was such that it needed to be an increase in the size of the police department as well. Lonnie went door to door talking to the residents and asking them to sign a petition supporting the expansion of the police department. Ultimately, the council agreed and the department began to grow. In 2005, Lonnie was asked by the chief if he would help join the department as a volunteer, where he worked every town event as well as all the department's DUI checkpoints. Lonnie's worked hard to cultivate relationships with Prince William County as well as Fairfax police departments, which made it possible for Haymarket to receive free surplus equipment from both agencies. When started out as a 4 to 5 hours a week, I'm sure it turned quickly into 30 to 40 hours a week. When the department moved locations, Lonnie found businesses that would donate desks, furniture, computers, and even did the Cat 5 wiring himself. Didn't know that. Lonnie worked very hard for the department as well as a volunteer until 2010 when he had left for personal reasons. In 2017, when Chief Lance took over the department, Lonnie was asked a meeting with him and expressed his desire to once again be a part of the police department and volunteering. Chief Lance brought him on board and soon was given back the task of taking care of the department's vehicles, which title of a fleet safety manager. His duties include everything from vehicle maintenance to ordering equipment, getting vehicles to the paint and body shops, keeping track of all the department's vehicles, maintenance, budgets. In addition to this, Lonnie has helped out the chief remodel the patrol room as well as working a post during the town event and the police events. He does this all without a complaint and without receiving any financial compensation. Lonnie has served and continues to serve the town and residents for a year with selfless sacrifice of his time. For this and many of the above actions, I'd like to recognize Lonnie Milstad as a recipient of the Mayor's 2017-2018 Haymarket Volunteer of the Year Award. And for that, we have a little plaque here, too. I don't know if you have any words?
I've never been accused of being at loss for words, but this is one of those moments. Well, as the mayor said, I moved here in '97, and I fell in love with this town. And even though I don't currently live in the town, I live a couple of miles outside of town, I still love this town, and I still want to be a part of it.
I think that was the reason, too. It's our Haymarket tagline. It's Haymarket is everyone's hometown. And we appreciate it.
Let me just add, this is the first standing ovation I've seen in Haymarket in 46 years.
All right, our next item is our public hearing, and I'm going to, without objection, open our public hearing. I think we have a presentation first, and then we'll take our comments afterwards. So with that, we're on page 19 of our packet as well.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to do a brief overview of the budget. Carl, Roberto here with me, in case there are any questions that I can't answer, because obviously Roberto was the author and contributed a lot more than a lot of everything to the budget. So there may be some questions I need to refer to him. But let me just give you a brief overview for the public hearing and for the information to the public, if I could. Can you hear? Yeah.
Much better.
Just some highlights of the budget. Roberto and I vetted the budget along with the Finance Committee. We had 2 Council Finance Committee meetings and 3 Haymarket Town Council work sessions to discuss a budget. Matter of fact, we just had another Finance Committee meeting just prior to this meeting this evening to discuss it additionally. Overall, the budget increase is 3.3%, and that's attributable to capital improvement expenditures that we're proposing in the upcoming budget. The operating budget is $2,181,273. We're proposing the capital budget at $462,551. That includes the pedestrian project here on Jefferson Street, beginning the town center renovations, and also implementing a blight control and mitigation program in the town. That gives us a total budget of $2,643,824. Excuse me. Of that amount, on the revenue side, $250,000 is coming from cap from reserves. All of that earmarked money from reserves is dedicated to capital improvement programs. None of the reserves is being used to finance the ongoing operations of the budget, for the budget. We're proposing the real property tax remain at the current rate of 1.146 per $100 of assessed value. And that will, by virtue of the increased assessments from the county, increase our revenues in the amount of $21,618. There are no increases proposed to additional business taxes or licenses. The town administration budget is reduced by $80,000 in the current budget, and the public safety budget is reduced by $25,000. Some of the priorities we considered when reviewing the budget: continue the level of resident services with a focus on improving efficiencies and service delivery, encourage citizen involvement by community outreach and regular communications, provide a safe and high quality of life for the citizens of Haymarket by funding a professional and community-oriented police department, retaining qualified administrative staff with a diversified skill set, making Haymarket a more walkable community, continuing the development of the Haymarket Community Park, providing an efficient street sanitation program, sponsoring community events for our citizens and businesses, and addressing blighted properties within the town. Some additional priorities include begin the renovation of the Haymarket Town Center, address the deferred maintenance on existing town facilities, provide assistance to our existing businesses to facilitate sustainability and growth, and work with the development community to position the town for responsible growth and new business development.
This is a general breakout of our revenues and expenditures. It says it's a balanced budget at $2,643,824. General property taxes on the revenue side generating $379,940. Our meals tax, which is our largest source of revenue, generating $650,000. Our B-poll taxes, $180,000. Our other local taxes, which include other local taxes paid by the businesses and other entities, include $458,000. Permits, fees, and licenses, $39,600. Fines and forfeitures, $65,000. The revenue we receive from our rental properties, $136,957. Public safety, and these are public safety donation and grants, $5,000. Interest we make from our reserves with the local bank and also with the Virginia Investment Pool, VACO VML, $8,000. Miscellaneous revenues, just that as a catch-all for some miscellaneous small amounts of revenues that come in. We don't have any place else to post it. Revenue from the Commonwealth is $171,627, and that's revenues from sources that the Commonwealth collects for the town and distributes to us. Revenue from government, $228,700. A lot of that is for some of the transportation improvements and pedestrian improvements. Those are the state funds, matching funds that we'll receive on those projects. And then revenues from for the CIP from our reserves at $250,000. Town events, these are the sponsorships for our town events, $70,000. These are the sponsorships that the community, the business communities give us towards our town events. And then if we go to the expenditure side, administration, $697,700. The police department, $706,184. Public Works Department, $276,926. And this includes also maintenance on our various rental properties and landscaping, park maintenance, some degree park maintenance, and some of those types of things. Community development, which is the planning commission and some other things that we carry in their land use planning. The building official, and we're still carrying $50,000 in there for erosion and sedimentation control, and also some work towards the blight ordinances. Museum, parks, rec, and cultural, $75,150. We dedicated $75,000 to the Haymarket Community Park in this year's budget, and it's on the operational side, not the capital side. We have a current debt service at $186,000, $186,440. Excuse me, I'm not speaking. $186,440. A caboose enhancement project. There was $7,000 left over in that project. We carried it through as a placemaker in case there was something else we might be able to do, and that is on the revenue side from the state as well as part of that project. The Town Center Master Plan, we have allocated $203,951 to actually beginning some of the construction on the Town Center renovation. We've dedicated another $50,000 in blight mitigation and $208,000 for the pedestrian improvement projects on Jefferson Street. The Town Center project, the blight mitigation, and the pedestrian improvements on Jefferson Street are carried under capital items. This is just a simple pie chart that shows that breakout, gives you a little better representation of where the big kind of shows you where the money comes from in terms on the revenue side. Again, with business, with the meals tax being the largest, and followed by our property taxes, and so that just gives you a graphic to show you what it looks like in a pie chart. Similarly, on the operating side, on the expenditure side, It's a breakout by department and by function of the town. That's all I had, Mayor, unless there are any additional questions from anyone that I could answer for the public hearing. Or Roberto, too.
Does this council have any questions? All right. Then we'll go ahead and open, with no objection, open our public hearing regarding our budget. At this time, if you could just come up, this will be in favor or opposed. You can state your comments, and there again, for the record, list your name and address.
Bob Weir, 6853 St. Paul Drive. And for the record, I agree about 98% with Dottie. I would just note that I wasn't on the council for the grocery store fiasco. That was before my time. With regard to this budget, I'm not in favor of it as it's currently presented. It's a cart before the horse circumstance. You're giving a budget presentation weeks before you're even going to discuss the rate. And I would think you would have a discussion of the rate at least at the same time as you're having a discussion of the budget, so as to not make the budget rate a foregone conclusion and then having to hurry up and do cuts if you should decide to reduce the rate. The budget itself doesn't reflect the actuals from the previous year's CAFRs. It's interesting. We keep coming to that. You guys have reported numbers, reported adopted numbers that should stay the same from budget presentation to budget presentation, simply for conformity and to give you a sense of what really happened in the past. And then tonight, I've just now been presented with what I would suggest is a rather minimal budget presentation. Minimal narrative, no discussion. And in looking through it, there's one thing that's terribly obvious to me, and that regards your capital budget. Where's the CIP? You've got 3 items on here, a pedestrian project and a town center project and a blight control. Blight control is an operational issue, not a capital expenditure item. And curiously missing from it is the park. That 2 years ago, you guys made an election thing. We're going to get the park done, we're going to get it built, and you've moved the money away from that, and that's gone away. One of the reasons for having a CIP is so that we can track what you're spending the capital dollars on and hold you accountable for it, so that you don't go off script without due public notice, discussion, and commentary. I ask again, where is the CIP? Who vetted it? You're supposed to have one for stuff like this. It's supposed to be vetted by the Planning Commission. That's state code and town ordinance, I believe. Where is it? One of the reasons you need to do that is so that you don't have unexpected expenditures. I've gone through the minutes. I don't see a vote for replacing the roof on the Harover property. How much did that cost? Who authorized it? Where in the plan was it? That's all stuff you guys are responsible to consider and present to the public. It's sort of reminiscent of the expenditure of hundreds of thousands of dollars you guys have undertaken in the last couple of years. Hundreds of thousands of dollars of reserve items that were to go for capital improvements. You spent it on studies, you spent it on consultants, you spent it on meetings, and apart from a couple of park benches, you've got nothing concrete to show for it. Nothing. Just one changed plan after another and one change of direction after another. And this year's newbie is the blight ordinance. So now you're going to spend money on that, and the park seems to be forgotten. This budget is by no means ready for prime time. There are considerable mistakes in it from an accounting standpoint, and considerable issues with your revenue projections and some of your expenditure projections. You really need to look at your actuals from the past couple of years on both sides of the ledger, lest you dig the hole even deeper for yet another year. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, sir. Anyone else that'd like to comment?
Mr. Weir, you were on the council when that decision was made, and liaison to the Planning Commission because I was on it. And I never could make any decisions because I was always outvoted.
Yeah, just
All right. I am also opposed to the blight ordinance expenditures and the litigations associated with that expenditures. I would like to be a volunteer like this wonderful man who volunteered as a policeman for all those hours. I will give of my time to negotiate that, and I believe it can be done. I'm a great negotiator, and I know I can do it and cost the town nothing. One of the reasons that some of these properties are blighted is because they've come before the town for approvals, and my dear friend Mr. Weir should remember one of those when he and Pam Stutz were so opposed to beautiful colonial Alexandria-style historic reproduction townhomes were requested for the property straight across the street, and they were denied. I'm the only one who voted yes, because I wanted to see the town get finished. Myself, I have property that could use some work, but I'm discouraged because I want to bring mine down. I want to develop mine for what it's zoned for. But I have a blight on Blight Drive. I think that's an interesting term that someone shared with me when I was going around that are very contemporary. So as residents, we're between a rock and a hard place trying to know what it is you want in the way of fixing up. I've already negotiated with one property owner and finally got them to clean up their property, but it needs to be sold and it needs to be fixed up. So knowing clearly what the ARB is expecting and if it's going to fit with the plan that the town had when they set up the ARB and set up ARB guidelines will be beneficial there too. It's hard for people to come before the ARB, get turned down, go away, come back, get turned down again, when they really have sometimes a good idea. If someone with some wisdom was on there giving them advice on how to use the guidelines to improve their application, then they wouldn't be in the dark, and neither would the people making the suggestion to them. If there's any way I can help, free of charge, you've got my time, and I'll call every property owner that you're concerned about.
Okay. All right, thank you. Thank you for your comments. Anyone else would like to speak about the revised budget? Anyone? All right, with no objection, I'm going to go ahead and close our public hearing. And at this time, I'd like to hear from our finance chair regarding some changes that were discussed.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In reviewing the budget presentation, one of the things that, as a council, we failed in 4 years ago, we did a study with CASA, and we brought in professionals to look at the entire staffing, those who are employed to the town. And we did some major changes 3.5 years ago, and one of the areas that needed additional work was adjusting the salary for mostly the 4 police officers who are in the town. And we met as a committee earlier, and one of the things that we're proposing to the rest of the council is looking at doing a salary adjustment for these 4 police officers. Before we get even to the salary adjustments, one of the things that we started looking into was the Haymarket Community Park and the joint ventures that are in place right now in getting joint sponsors to come on board with joining us with the vision that we had. Before we, initially when we started doing all the work for the community park, we started looking at the stormwater management and just realizing how much money it would take. We don't have it. We can't afford to do that work. So what we're doing is approaching it from the angle of reaching out to, I think this week we met with
Dominion Energy.
Dominion
Yes.
Energy, and we have a couple others that we're looking at doing joint ventures with. So what we initially set aside to do the Haymarket Community Park will probably come in much less. Also, one of my pet peeves has always been the amount of money we spend on legal issues. Don't take it personal, Martin. You have only 2 more months of me left, but you know, I've always had this pet peeve of spending too much money on legal issues. So I mentioned those two areas, Haymarket Community Park and our legal expenses, because those are two areas that I'm proposing to the council that we would be able to take monies from to do the salary adjustments. Being involved with and being sensitive to the law enforcement community is just how much it takes to replace an officer, how much it takes a department to bring a new person in. So if we can be respectful in compensating our officers in what they deserve, it's one of the areas, it's one of the reasons why we looked at the plan, and we are fixing a problem that has been plaguing us for a while with the overtime, in making sure that the officers are paid for what they're working with the overtime adjustments, with the overtime policy that is there on the budget. So we're looking at how we can do the salary adjustment and still remain within the budget. It is not adding anything to the budget, but it is shifting around and making sure that our officers are taken care of. So that, God willing, once the rest of the council sees it, it will go on the proposed budget.
So what were the recommendations for the committee to?
We're looking at 50% of the amount that was proposed coming from the Haymarket Community Park and 50% from our legal fees.
So that's approximately,
approximately
14,000, so
total.
it's 7 from each one.
7, yes, sir.
So I think we're at, was it 75?
75 for Haymarket, the community park, and right now 80 at legal.
Right. So it would be 70.
It would be 67 for the park and 73 for legal.
Right. And reducing those two numbers.
Yes, sir.
Let's go around the dais, see what we think. Let's start to my right.
I am in full support of it. Compensating our officers for what they bring to this town. You know, with our discussions earlier, we were, and I'll say we because I am part of the town council now, we're missing our duties in the past to not do this, I think. So I am 100% in support of the chairman's recommendations.
Okay. Councilman Lee?
Thank you, Mayor. I'm 100% in favor with the chairman in regards to his recommendation to the town council. I think if we look at it, and I personally don't even think it's enough for what these gentlemen put on each and every day, putting on that bulletproof vest, strapping on their sidearm, and protecting us. They're the ones who respond to our houses within less than 2 minutes, and they're the ones who are willing to take a bullet for us. So to me, there's no amount of money that we could even pay them to be able to do this on a daily basis. I'm just, we're forever in their debt for them being able to protect us and protect our children and our neighbors and coworkers. If we look, Prince William County just did a study, I believe it was this year. They hired a firm out of Pennsylvania to look and see why they were losing officers. And there was multiple reasons into why they were, but it looks at it now, and the last thing that we want to do is lose some of the dedicated officers that we have within our department to other jurisdictions because of our pay not being competitive. This is not a raise, this is a salary adjustment, bringing these gentlemen up to the salary that they need to be paid. One, for them to just be able to plan their future. If I'm looking as an officer to go out to buy a car or buy a house, I want to know that I have money coming in. And with COLA raises and different things along those lines, this is something that we need to be looking at each year, and whether we put in a STEP program or whatever it may be. But this is something that we need to make sure that we're planning for these gentlemen or ladies moving forward. With that being said, Mayor, I'm in full support of this. The gentlemen that we have lead Haymarket on a daily basis, I think we have a great group of gentlemen that know this town like the back of their hands and would do anything for it. And for that, I think that we need to make sure that they're compensated correctly for it.
Okay. Thank you. Councilwoman Edwards.
I'm in support of it. I also think that those are two good places to take the money from. With regards to the fact that we are working on grants and partnerships in the community for the park, I think we'll be in good shape and still be able to continue with that development, and also with the fact that staff has been so good, council's been good with our legal bills, and we came way up, we're under this year, and I think those are good places to take the money from. So I support it.
Okay, Councilman Cole.
Just want to make sure it's 68,000 for the park and 83, or 73,000
Yes.
for legal.
Correct, 7 from each.
Right.
Correct.
I'm in support of that as well.
Okay, and we heard from him. Ditto, all your comments that you all have made, I feel absolutely the same way. In talking to the residents over the past few weeks, I think that was an overall theme of support of the safety and the feeling of even the current law enforcement that live in our community, how they feel when it's 2 o'clock in the morning and one of those officers is walking the street, not driving a car, but walking our neighborhoods. So, so with no objection, then we're going to go ahead and direct to make those changes on the proposed draft budget. Okay, with that, our next is our department reports. First off, we have Chief Lands. We're on page 28 of our packet. Good evening, sir.
I would like to make one thing clear before we start, that number that you guys were talking about does include across the board. It's not just the salaries. It includes FICA and VRS and everything else, because that was just brought up. You have your reports. Anybody have any questions about the statistics for the month?
Just maybe one. Well, actually,
May I?
yeah, absolutely.
Without objection from council, since we're not looking to negotiate with county in regards to those MDC communications, is it still necessary for us to for the officers to put in the manpower and the hours to do these incident response out of town limits logs? I think it's just open for discussion here at the dais. I don't see the need for it. I know it's useful information, it's interesting information, but at the same time, if those man hours could be going elsewhere instead of tracking and going through the MDC, if we're not looking to renegotiate with the county, just a thought.
So just clarification, that's not our daily reports that we get,
No,
but
sir.
just the out-of-town incident.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, it's more the support to the county police.
Right.
That's what we're trying to track. Chief, how onerous is that?
So Sergeant Shaver came up with a spreadsheet that the officers are issued every month, and each month during the month they keep track of it, and they have to keep track of where they go, why they're going, who called them to go, did they self-initiate it themselves, and how long they were on the call, how long the officer was on the call by himself or before backup arrived. So
Is this normal data you collect?
no, we didn't start collecting this until the MDC conversation came up.
Well, one of the reasons that we found that it wasn't worth negotiating with the county was that we were going to use leverage on the fact that we provide a certain equivalent monetary support. And that number is just not high enough to really do that negotiation. I would say a daily check is probably not necessary, but I think you would want to do it once every 6 months or even quarterly, just to make sure.
The problem with that is
have the information.
you
gotta do
become
it. Right,
more
so-
burdened if you don't track it.
Right, so at some point, you're going to want to know when you are doing so much support, because what's going to happen is, you're going to have a council who's going to be thinking, man, we're really doing a lot with the county. And then they're going to hit you again with this same request. If it's easier to keep it going, I would say keep it going, and then you have that data ready to go anytime in that year you want to renegotiate that fee. If it becomes too much of a burden, certainly come back to the council. But if it's not too bad, I think it's valuable data.
Other thoughts? Councilwoman Edwards.
Are there certain parts of the process, maybe certain details that we can eliminate and just do maybe a broader?
She wants to know, is there certain details in that report that can be eliminated and still retain? what they were looking for this last time.
Maybe just to know that we went out of town, you know?
So to know that you went out of town is tracked every single day on the rundown. That is easy. We're going to do that regardless. Maintaining how long they spent, who called them first, those things that you wanted to use for negotiation, those are what take time.
Yeah. And if I can, Ms. Edwards, I think that's what Ms. Edwards is asking. Why would we then need to know how long does it take for Prince William to arrive on scene? Because that takes us recording that information, and maybe that's the type of information that we delete from the report.
Right. We provide a daily rundown that includes, just like what the chief had mentioned, the fact that there was an event out of town, and then also what that event was. One of the largest kind of time-consuming efforts, both on the officer's part and then also combining it all at the month, is going to be things like your time. So one of the items were how long is a Haymarket officer on scene prior to a Prince William County arrival. It's not difficult, it's just time-consuming. It's a matter of going through computer data to finding out, okay, when did the Haymarket unit mark on scene, and then deducting that from the time frame from when the Prince William County unit marked on scene. So depending on which information you guys would like to maintain, we can absolutely modify either the sheets for that, or if the items, the fact that we went out of town, what we went out of town for, and then how many times we went out, which we automatically already log now on our sheets now, if that would suffice for the information that you need, then that could maybe alleviate both, depending on which information it was you're interested in tracking.
Okay.
Okay. A couple follow-up questions. Can I, real quick? Typically, when you're called out of town, once a Prince William officer comes, they take over the scene. Is that correct?
Depending on the scenario,
Okay.
The short answer is it really kind of sort of depends. We're normally there because some of the events that we're going out of, especially if we're called by the county, it's a relatively large event.
Okay.
So we're normally there until the event concludes.
Gotcha.
But there are some items that happen just outside of the town where the county might just be too busy to even send a unit. So we're actually completing that entire event.
Right. So you're the primary responder, and then you do all the follow-up with it.
Yes.
So I'm guessing that those would be the events that we're interested in.
Right, and
Right?
those events are, and they continue to be tracked on the daily log sheet as well. We just, on the log sheet, we give a description of what the event was, and then also what our actions were. So, for example, if it was a crash at 15 and 55, we would put however we handled it. If it required a crash report, we handled it with a crash report. We assisted on a stabbing further down Route 15, closer to Bull Run Mountain. It was a major event. Obviously, we were not primary on that, so we didn't have to generate necessarily paperwork on it, but we did log the fact that we were there and we assisted.
But it's still mutual aid.
Absolutely.
It's total time on scene is really what's important.
Okay.
Because the metric is, our police department costs so much per year. We provide 24/7, and so you can easily calculate how much it costs us per minute to have a police force. If we know how long we are helping the county outside of town, then we can say we're providing that equivalent amount of money to the county in police protection.
Okay.
So that's really what we're looking for. The details of, when did Prince William come on the scene and whatever. No, it's just how much total time we were on the scene.
Sure. Absolutely. That's absolutely justifiable.
Councilman Shannon, did you have any? I don't think you spoke.
No, I think
Oh.
that service, is needed. If Prince William needs our officers, they got to report. That's just how how law enforcement works. And
Just like if we need them, they're going to come.
absolutely. But the amount of time, because I know Councilman Cole, I think, we looked at that, and it really wasn't worth taking that to the Board of Supervisors to say, hey, you know, you need to scratch our back, you know, and help us out in these areas and everything. So if there were massive amounts of time, then I think we would have more ammo to go forward and say, hey, we need to help. You know, we need to work with each other.
Climbing up.
Correct,
Just
correct.
be aware of that. We just need to, you know, if it reaches a certain threshold where we then can go to the board,
Yeah.
then we should be aware of that. And so, you know, I think if you're tracking it, most of that already, it's just a matter of then tallying up later on.
Councilman Morris.
Can you get into the system anytime and pull reports? So let's say we need to go to the county and we need last year October's numbers.
Depending on how they're being tracked. So the first time that we did this, what was entailed was actually just pulling the calls for service, and then I went through and I read the calls. Currently, the way I'm doing it, I'm making a spreadsheet, which I do it set up by month, so that I could go back through. If you had asked me, okay, October, I need to know how many minutes and hours did we spend outside of town, then I can go back and I can look at that spreadsheet.
But without the spreadsheet, could you have gone back and gotten the
Yes,
information?
absolutely.
So you could have.
It is doable, yes, sir.
So then the question is, why do we need to keep on doing the logs?
Because it's easier just to keep them
Yeah,
going if we're going to use the information.
Yeah, but if we're not going to use the information because we decided not to go to the county and use it, is that correct? Is that a correct statement?
No.
I think there's a better solution to this. What if we just print off the rundown report and put it in a binder? And that way, at any given time, any month, we could go through. The rundown report has the actual time.
I'm just wondering, why is it that our sergeant is tied up going through pulling data if we're not going to use the data?
That's
There might
the
be a
point.
time that we need it, so if,
But at the same time,
We could go
he
back.
he would, if we need it, it's the same time he would have invested had he invested it before.
no.
What's
It's
your
gonna take more
suggestion,
time to
Chief?
go back.
I think you have
that
one, right?
when we weren't tracking it, and then you guys wanted us to track it. This man behind me worked around the clock for about 2 weeks trying to get it all together, and it was so labor intensive. He wasn't able to do anything else but that, even on his days off. I would say that if we either nix the whole thing altogether and let's not ever bring it up, or we'll continue to do at least a portion of what we're doing in case someone asks that question again. It's very, very labor intensive.
Yeah.
If we stop, it's less labor intensive to keep up with it every day than it is to do it over a year's period in one time.
In every budget session,
Yes, sir.
every budget year, you're in a workshop, you're going to add, it's going to come up.
If we hit,
Mike.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
One quick question. Do you, in your opinion, think that we will ever cross the threshold of aiding Prince William County that it's going to make the argument?
No.
Okay, there you have it.
Councilman Shan.
I have no.
That just said it all. But know that if we do get up there, that don't complain when we say you have to go back and do it. Just
I
saying.
don't know.
No, I know. I'm pointing to the other one.
Has the threshold ever been defined? I don't think.
10,000.
10,000?
10,000. It has to be at least 10,000. We have to show that we're at least providing as much as it costs them for us to have access to the
Over a
system.
year period?
Yes.
Yes.
And we're nowhere close to that?
We're at 4,000.
Yeah, that's
And it's
up now.
15.
It's up to almost 15 now.
It's 15 now,
I
so
mean,
we would have
it
to.
adjusts through the years.
15. It's just going to be that there's going to be, someone's going to ask you, and you're going to say, no, we're not there, and they're going to say, show me the data.
And you just show them the recording of this
Meeting,
this
right, where
recording
we
here, and they go
decided
watch
to.
it. When we decided to stop. I'm
Yep.
sorry, my recommendation is
Yeah.
to decide to stop.
I think we have majority consensus. So I'm sorry to kind of,
Nope, no problem.
But
But I
you're
think-
still going to tell us in our daily rundowns that
we'd still like to know that,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
But I do want to interject, Mr. Mayor. Hey, thank you very much. Because the chief tapped you and you tackled this and you just went straight for it and got the job done, regardless if you were on or on. You got it done. Good job.
Yep.
Good.
All right, Chief, well, go ahead and let's just continue your report there, sir.
April was Autism Awareness Month. we talked about it last month, what we were going to do. During April, we put decals for autism awareness on our vehicles, and we posted information on our Facebook page about autism throughout the month. We had a good response to that. It didn't cost very much, but made a pretty big impact. April was also, or during a week in April was also Telecommunications Week, where the police department got 2 dozen cupcakes from Cupcake Heaven and took them to our dispatchers as thanks for what they do. Telecommunications Week is for recognizing dispatchers and the job they do. I like the phrase where they are our ears before the eyes arrive, and they do a good job. And we took them a little piece of Haymarket, so they really enjoyed it. We also had a VCIN audit this month. VCIN is the criminal information network that we're required to report to. Some police departments don't have a VCIN machine or terminal in their department. We do, because the courthouse is so far away, and then the nearest one that would have it is WDS, Western Division District Station. It's a privilege for us to have it. It was here before I got here, and it was turned over when we had a reduction in personnel last cycle to Sergeant Shaver. I'd like to recognize him again, that he did everything it needed to be to get us approved for another, is it a year or 2 years? Another 2-year cycle with, I think there was like 2 suggestions of things that we do that weren't wrong, but things that could make us more efficient. So we passed that. All right. And then he's going to come back up and talk about a commercial vehicle inspection that was done. You may have seen it last Monday and Tuesday, and give you some details. This is a very vital program that I think gets undersold a lot, and you wouldn't believe the stuff that was taken off the road. So I'm going to have him discuss a little bit of that.
So this took place back on both May 1st and May 2nd. A couple years ago, I became certified through the federal DOT to be a commercial motor vehicle inspector. And what the guise for that process is to inspect and enforce federal regulations of both commercial motor vehicles and vehicles traveling on our roadways, both carrying hazmat material and then also large passenger carrying vehicles as well. And during that time, Virginia State Police is what we consider our host agency to the federal agencies. So we work tightly with Virginia State Police, but also other agencies that have this program. We all come together and work together on certain projects. Earlier in the year, Virginia State Police reached out to me and said that they have been noticing a rise in fatalities on Route 15 throughout the state involving commercial motor vehicles. And that their supervisors in Richmond had asked for locations where we could conduct specialized enforcement and a focused project for a couple of days. They came to me and asked, I have a few inspectors that we want to get involved. We have a couple agencies that want to get involved. Is there a place somewhere on Route 15 where we could do it and we could do it safely? And the suggestion was given that we go to Route 15 just on the other side of the railroad tracks. There is a section of roadway that is not currently being utilized, but it's off the roadway. It was a safe place to conduct these inspections. During the 2-day project, we were lucky enough to work with 6 agencies, to be Virginia State Police, Department of Motor Vehicles Police, and also their mobile scales, Prince William County Police, Loudoun County Sheriff's Office, the Haymarket Police Department, also Fairfax County Police Department came out. There were 2 locations given, one right here in Haymarket, and then also another one at Route 15 and Route 50 in Loudoun County. The whole project over 2 days, we conducted 115 vehicle inspections. Out of those 115 inspections, 41 vehicles were taken out of service.
Wow.
What that means is that given the federal regulations, there was something safety related on this vehicle that was so egregious it needed to come off the roadway. 4 drivers Part of our inspections are also a discussion with the driver. Could be a variety of things. Could be a licensing issue. Could be how long they've been driving. The federal mandates put strict regulations on how long a driver can drive. We put 4 drivers out of service for different various violations. And in total, we noted 353 separate violations, and there were 73 traffic summons written. Just to give you an idea, the Loudoun County project, or the Loudoun County side of the project, not due to trying, wasn't quite as busy as we were here in Haymarket. Haymarket alone, we conducted 80 inspections. We took 23 vehicles out of service. We took 2 drivers out of service. We noted 217 violations, and we wrote 15 of the summonses. One of the things that I would like to note is all these vehicles came through Haymarket, came through the town of Haymarket, especially utilizing our divergent traffic diamond. Vehicles coming off of 66 and vehicles on their way to, it could be the Stone Quarry down 55, but they were traveling here in the town. I think, if I remember correctly, we might have received 2 vehicles that were coming from the Route 29 side, but most everything was coming from the 15 and 55 side. Both myself and the other on-duty officer, we assisted in, I insisted inspections, but we also assisted with pulling vehicles into the inspection area. We did notice that within just a few minutes of us getting started, word got out that we were holding this inspection in that area, and we noticed an increase of commercial vehicle traffic attempting to avoid the Route 15 corridor, both driving, again, through town, on Jefferson Street, around town, Old Carolina, in an attempt to avoid that. 2 of the vehicles that were invited to come to our inspection area by Officer Nugent that were obviously attempting to avoid our inspection were the 2 worst vehicles of the day. We stopped 2 dump trucks with a gross vehicle weight rating of 80,000 pounds. Luckily, at the time, they were empty. One of them had an active fuel leak, so bad that we had to, for safety reasons, stop the inspection. We could not start the vehicle again with a potential of fire. That same vehicle had issues where in excess of 20% of its braking power was null and void. It was out for some reason. It was either out of adjustment or the brake was not functioning at all. The frame on that vehicle was also visibly cracked to where it would essentially total almost a passenger vehicle if you were to take it to a body shop. This dump truck is driving down the road with these items. When the driver got out of the vehicle and we began to explain to him some of the issues, he realized that his driver's door was faulty. He could not open the driver's door to get back into the vehicle. He had to enter the vehicle from the passenger side. If he would be involved in a crash, the fire department would have to work that much harder in order to open up that door to get to him because the door did not function correctly. A couple of the vehicles that I personally inspected, one of them was a flatbed 18-wheeler that was hauling large concrete pipe. That tractor trailer was coming here to the town for a job. That truck was taken out of service due to issues with load securement. The pipes themselves, for the most part, was secure. However, it had items both in the pipes, just random items that he could have stored inside the cab with him that he didn't. There was wooden blocking material that they use as kind of like a dividing material that he could have put in the cab with him. He just basically threw it up on the bed of the truck, where if that would have come off on the interstate, had the potential of going right through somebody's windshield and causing major issues, major damage. Another truck, this one came off of 29 that I inspected, was a log truck. It was carrying 75,000 pounds worth of logs. This vehicle was taken out of service due to a variety of brake issues. Again, in excess of 20% of its braking power was not there. One of the brake chambers had a hole in it, and in this brake chamber is a massive spring. That spring has more tension than a suspension spring on a standard vehicle. If that spring was to come out, it would easily decapitate somebody or punch right through the thin sheet metal of a vehicle. Luckily, we were able to see it in time. Nobody was hurt. We stopped the inspection at that point. Other items on that log truck as well, unfortunately, again, another suspension issue and a load securement issue, taking that vehicle out of service. These, we find, are kind of the items that really affect the motorists, because if something like that would have happened, it could really affect the family. Because if that spring would have come through the windshield, we could be conducting a death notification. It's a program that, me personally, I'm passionate about. I'm really happy that we're involved in it. And we have great partners in the area that come out and work with us, and we go out and work with them as well. And we do what we can to take these vehicles off the road. And it's a very, very dirty job. It's not a glamorous job, but I'm glad to be a part of it, because even if it's not just the lives of the people that are driving around these trucks, it's also the truck drivers themselves I'm concerned about. So I get a kind of good feeling when I find one of these trucks that is absolute junk that's driving with my family, driving on the roadway, and they have a family to go home to. And I tell them, I said, this could happen while you were driving, and you might not be able to go home that night. And it kind of helps the drivers think when it comes time for them to do their daily inspections. But I thank you for your time. I wanted to talk about that project.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much, Sergeant. Yep. Any questions for the sergeant while he's here?
Just one, if I can.
Yeah, sure.
Sarge,
Yes.
can we conduct these inspections ourselves
Yes.
for vehicles driving through the town?
Yes, so I do. I absolutely do. This was just kind of a unique situation because we had so many available to us. I conduct a minimum of 32 inspections a year to maintain my certification. But yes, it is something that I do. Unfortunately, given the cleanliness of it, I make sure it's a day where I can wear a different uniform.
Maybe the chief can put in for a shower for you here.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Good job.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir.
Mayor, no question to Sergeant, but I would like to make a statement.
Sure.
Okay. So I went up with Chief and actually went in and I don't want to say inspected, but oversaw some of these inspections that were going on and spoke with one of the Virginia State Police sergeants. And because when we first rolled this out and Sergeant Schaefer took this upon himself, I was one who was against it at the time. I said, why are we spending money? Why are we spending resources to do this?
I remember that, actually.
And why is he going out to Fauquier County, all this stuff? It didn't make sense to me, but it didn't make sense to me because I didn't take the time to do my research to actually understand what this motor unit does. And I don't know if anybody at the dais really understood what it does, but sitting there speaking with the sergeant and everything, and as well as with Chief, that Virginia State sergeant goes, these are family killers. These vehicles kill families on the roads, on interstates, and you have a lot of drivers who don't do those daily inspections on their vehicles, or do them, but tell their bosses, and their bosses say, get out there and do another load. Get out there and keep going. And they don't take the time to take these safety precautions. So we say Sergeant and his team that went out there, they really do save the lives. And I'm all for keeping the money in the budget, making sure that Sergeant has his training up to date and whatever is necessary. Because like he said, he goes out to other jurisdictions and helps, but at the same time, those other jurisdictions come out and help us. There was folks there from Fairfax County, DMV, Virginia State Police, Prince William County, I think it was Alexandria as well. I mean, you had all these other jurisdictions coming to us to help us, and at the same time, we were able to release our resources to go and help them. But I just want to say thank you. I know that, like you said, this was passionate to you, and you have a passion for it. But thank you for going and saving folks' lives that really don't know that their lives are being saved. But behind the scenes, these are the small things and the steps that you take to be able to make sure everyone's safe there out on the interstate.
Yep. All right.
Good job.
Chief? Do you have anything else, sir?
I have the officer highlights, but
No, absolutely.
If you would you mind if I were to pass this until the officer gets back? I want to recognize Officer Gregory for saving a life, but he is currently saving another life now doing CPR at the moment.
Wow.
So if you would indulge me, we'll just wait
Yes,
and
absolutely.
let the
I'll wait till he comes
departments
back
go
in.
on.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you, sir. I don't have anything unless there's questions.
You did Autism Awareness Month. Are you doing anything for ALS?
No, not with the police department.
Is there any way we get those stickers? Because you had those magnets, right? You had magnets for...
No, those are vinyl stickers.
Vinyls? Peel on, peel off? Not
Oh.
reusable?
No, they're not reusable.
What?
One time.
Okay.
The magnets would cost a lot more.
Yeah.
We'll look at it. We'll see if there's something we could do, absolutely, for that. All right, so let's, I'll watch for him, and then we'll
Okay.
bring you back. That's okay? Next item is our town planners report. We're on page 30 of our packet, and we have Miss Emily Lockhart to give us her report of how great the town is being planned.
Good evening. I'll keep it kind of brief. We had our typical ARB meeting. We are still working on kind of the final notification from VDOT about our rock facade wall. We're also making some decisions about our banners and just kind of housekeeping in town. Planning Commission, we did not have an April meeting. Our regularly scheduled May 2nd meeting has moved to May 17th. We also are working on the Crossroads Village Center project. We have a public hearing set for May 21st, 2018 at 6 p.m. That's going to be a joint public hearing. And all the documents have come in. The application is here, all staff reports. So if anyone has questions or wants to talk about the project prior to the meeting, let me know, please. On here, I have that there was no 1 mile review. That changed since I put this out. Also, it says March. I apologize. I see that now. John Marshall Commons came back up. We were not notified by the county because the use was less intense than it previously was before when we made our comments and submitted them formally to the county. They've changed it so that there is a reduced number of housing units going in. Also, to address the issue of schools back there, they put an age restriction on some of the units to 55 and older. And the other big change that was in the application was they removed the proffer statement to put the sidewalk improvements in front of QBE. The reasoning for this, the applicant stated to Steve Donahoe at Prince William County, was because QBE came in with their site plan, everything was approved, and they are putting in those site improvements there. So I've been in touch with the planner in charge of the application. If anybody has any additional comments you want me to send to the county, I certainly will. They're holding their public hearing for that on May 15th down at the county. So please let me know or send me an email, and I will address anything, any concerns you guys have with the county. Other staff things, I've been working on the fee schedule, cleaning it up. Alexander's Keep, we're trying to finally get that light pole that got hit fixed. And I have also been working on some zoning violations for the property across the street. Since we last met about the blight ordinance, I was working on a letter, and we're trying to move along on that. So
There's several properties that we, yes. right.
several properties down the street as well. Yes.
Yep, okay.
Are there any questions?
So have they gone out the door yet, or where are we with those letters?
They have not gone out the door yet.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Mr.
Question.
Mayor, I have
Epson.
two quick things. First of all, the 17 May, as you know, I'm the liaison. I will be in North Carolina. I will not be here for that meeting. I don't know if we want someone else from the council to be there or not. I think there's going to be some interesting things for that meeting.
For the 17th, it's going to be general discussion, probably on the new development project coming up, an
Exactly.
update with the commission.
And so I don't know if we need to have somebody there. Like I said, I'll be on my Harley riding through North Carolina, the mountains. The other thing that Ms. Lockhart had already mentioned to me too about the John Marshall Commons or whatever. That 15 May, is that the public hearing for that?
That is, yes, down at the county.
Okay. I'm disappointed they didn't come back to us initially because it may be a reduction in houses and everything, but it's not going to reduce traffic a whole heck of a lot. And that's really going to affect us, that whole project down there. So if I possibly can, I know I would try to go to that meeting.
I think our comments that we made before, I mean,
Yes.
are those standing? In other words, did they bring those back up?
Yes, they brought
Yeah.
those back up and left it in there as well for the public hearing they're having. So they assumed we had the same comments still standing on traffic and other issues that were there.
Right. I mean, if there was only one good thing that would have come through is that roundabout. I think everybody was real excited about that. At least it would have been a traffic calming coming into the town. And of course, the sidewalks, being able to, keep on connecting sidewalks to allow people to stay off the gravel. So, but I think, not unless anyone has any new thoughts on this, I mean, our same comments, I think, have been consistent over the years with this, because it's been several years this project has kind of come in and out, in and out. Many years, yeah.
My thoughts are consistent with what we submitted a few years back, but I'm concerned, or I need to be educated as far as the sidewalk being nixed from the John Marshall and it's included in QBE. As far as time frame is concerned, is there any way where the sidewalk then would be delayed if QBE delays theirs
Right.
compared to John Marshall?
Or another thought, that the sidewalk maybe continue through Green Hill Crossing. So you have it stops at Green Hill Crossing Drive, but to be able to connect that all the way down, because the sidewalk does pick up at the bank, or excuse me, not the bank, but the post office. Yeah, so I mean, there's like all these little sections, and one that is missing in front of is Green Hill Crossing, from Susquehanna almost, to.
I'm just wondering, because if it's taken off John Marshall and put on QBE, and then QBE projects gets delayed, and the sidewalk gets delayed. So is there anything we can do as far as keeping the sidewalk on John Marshall? Because that seemed to be moving faster than QBE. I may be wrong.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit ignorant on the QBE's movement.
I discussed with the planner in charge of the project on could they provide a proffer of funding for a sidewalk project in town. He said it's certainly worth a try to ask for it, so I'm working with him on that and formally submitting that request. So he's worried about an issue of nexus if we try to do the sidewalk project elsewhere than the land is tapped with. So I'm currently talking to him about it, and I'll keep you posted on what he says.
Somehow I just feel like it's better to get out of John Marshall the sidewalk and out of QBE something else. Yeah, it makes sense, right? Because we can't get anything else out of John Marshall, but we can get something else out of QBE.
Right.
So I don't know if it's possible. I think it's highly possible getting something else out of QBE. Because John Marshall, once this is gone, once his proffer is gone, we can't get anything else out of John Marshall. And here they are bringing something, the traffic and all these things to the town, and basically getting away scot-free.
Well, the unfortunate part is they're really not in the town limits, too.
I know they're not, but we still have a little say.
Yeah.
It's going to affect us. Is that sidewalk project brick?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know why I asked that? Because my other hat that I wear, so.
Yeah. Okay. Other questions for Emily? Okay.
And just one more, Ms. Emily, before you leave. Are there vacancies that residents could get involved with the ARB or the Planning Commission?
Yes.
Could you tell us about them, please?
Absolutely. On July 1, our ARB will be looking for 5 new members. So any residents interested, if you guys know of anyone, please reach out, send them to me. We'll have 5 positions on the ARB, And we will have several coming up on the Planning Commission. I'm not exactly sure exactly how many, but I think it's about 3 that'll be up this July. So,
That's good.
anyone?
We have one vacancy currently on.
Yes.
A vacant term currently on the planning commission right now that could be filled.
I think
Yeah, they can
2
be appointed.
expire in November. There's
Mhm.
2 that goes in November of 18.
Yes, I have to look up the exact dates because one
Maybe in July.
place might
So
say
there
June.
are ways for residents to get involved.
Yes. Mhm. We have current openings, so anyone who's involved, they don't have to wait till July 1. They can start once you guys appoint them, so.
So there are ways for residents, oh, I did say that already, sorry.
Yes, there are ways for residents to get involved.
And actually, I think Mr. Shannon, or Councilman Shannon, has some good news.
Monday you will be getting a visit from one of my neighbors who is very interested in the Planning Commission, and someone in my same subdivision has only been here the same amount of time I have, a couple of years, but very interested in what's going on in this town and exactly, in my opinion, what we need to set on this diocese to help us out in this town. So you'll be hearing from him Monday.
So you have one from there, we have one from Haymarket Station, and one from Green Hill Crossing. All have showed interest over the last couple of weeks in talking to residents. So I think we have quite a few that are coming forward. It's good.
Thank you, ma'am.
Anything else? So we're good? All right, thank you very much. All right, next is our engineers report. We're on page 32. If there's no questions or comments, we'll pass over that.
I can speak a little bit to the Sherwood Forest bond release if you'd like. Some of the issues from the VDOT perspective, they fixed one of the drainage issues between 2 of the houses. They fixed that issue, and it will, that project itself will pass VDOT inspection. There's still the issue for the one house, the easement issue, that it looks like the town's going to have to get involved to some extent. Jerry and I talked about it briefly. It is not a VDOT issue. I met with a gentleman and explained to him there is no plans from the VDOT perspective, no plans whatsoever to do anything else to that corner. Nothing. So,
I heard from the developer on Friday that he was meeting with that specific homeowner,
Okay.
and they would give us an update as soon as they know, but they
Good.
were hopeful.
good, okay.
I think,
Yeah, just to clarify a little more, what they want us to do is exercise eminent domain and take that to the town to do that. I don't think that's something we
It's
want
an
to do.
expensive proposition.
And why would we?
Yeah.
It's not something.
you might have an update on the pedestrian improvement project, Jerry, just about the
Yeah,
funding.
we have, we've signed the final paperwork, and the funds have all been approved for the pedestrian improvement project, which will be the sidewalk project from the bridge down basically to the town parking lot, which will be a pedestrian and bike pathway. So that should be starting probably, I would think, in the fall, I think is what Katie had indicated. So it's going to be a nice project that'll bring a lot of residents down to, a lot of people walking and bicycling down to Washington Street, which will be beneficial to our businesses, of course.
Yep.
Is there any planned crosswalk from Long Street Commons coming across? No? I'm just checking, man, I'm just checking.
I had a resident ask when I was out talking to residents about that.
Wondering if there's any crosswalk from Long Street Commons coming straight across onto that street that, no? I got white paint. So-
We don't do
Okay.
white crosswalks here in town.
ARB says so. So we have
Right.
problems with ARB.
Any other questions about the engineer's report? We'll go ahead and go over to the building officials report, and that's on page 34. As you can see, the number keeps increasing.
I would say that the master bath remodeling at 6757 Fayette Street is fabulous.
Is it? Yeah. You have first-hand knowledge of that, huh? Yeah.
But I did have to go to the county and go through the process. They were very helpful, actually. I had an actual nice experience with them. So,
Yeah.
I didn't do any of it online. So, but, you know, it did work for me, so.
So what was the cost difference?
The cost difference?
Yeah.
There would have been no cost difference.
Yeah, I mean, if going through the county compared to going through the town.
Permitting.
Permitting.
Permitting process.
Yeah, you didn't have any?
Well, no, it cost me the same.
It cost you the same that as you have, if you had gone through the town compared to going through the county?
No, it would have cost me more if I went to town, right? Oh, yeah.
No, it wouldn't have cost you more, it would have cost you much more.
Much more.
That's what he just
Yeah.
said.
Oh, no, I didn't put much. I just
All
wanted
right.
to insert much.
We'll rein this back in.
Mayor,
All I'm saying is that I paid the county fees for those permits.
Yeah. And for one other note, the ability for a resident to come up and that doesn't have internet or access, we've made available through our staff to be able to go online, help them process it. So we did make accommodations for anyone that needs that. Maybe we need to keep that out there, that for
We're certainly willing to assist anyone that's having any issues.
right, and by doing it right here from Town Hall, as if they would have come to Town Hall anyway. Yeah, okay.
Mayor, since we're on this, as well as since two of our citizens spoke about this, I'd like to speak about it as well. I'd agree with Councilman Morris that it would have cost Councilmember Cole more money. The reason why was because we had a terrible contract that we had written. I think that there's a lot of improvement to find another company and find a company that would be at a cheaper cost or same cost as what it cost us with the town, with the county. But Mr. Cole, that's the first time I've heard someone have a positive or come in these chambers and speak positively about it. We had two citizens this evening speak negatively about it, and I've spoken to other citizens out in amongst the town that have spoken against it. We won't use their names because they haven't come and spoken publicly about it. But this is the first time that I've heard someone have a positive saying of going through the county.
I did go during an off time.
Yeah.
So that helped.
But at the end of the day, I think we need to take our citizens' comments into consideration, and even if it makes me go ahead and take that step forward and looking at alternative solutions that are not costly to the town or costing the town money, I still think that we need to look and have our options open to bringing that full-service town back to the town and out of the county. I agree with, and I think everyone at this dais can agree that $488,500, that is fantastic. That was not being recorded previously, and that there was a lot of things being missed. But I still think that there's a company out there, and I'd be more than happy to take that project on to look for alternatives to this. But I don't think the county is the right answer. I think it was the correct short-term answer for it. But at the end of the day, I think being that full-service town is something that we should look at.
Good. All right, thank you. Anything else regarding buildings? Otherwise, we're going to go to the treasurer's report.
Good evening, Council. Just wanted to start off with if there's any questions on the reports in hand. If not,
I think we're deep into the budget, so I think we're getting all our questions answered there, but yeah.
One update I do want to give you, as of today, because it was brought up during Finance Committee, our legal bill. As of May 1st, we received our May 1st bill. That goes up to April. We're at 51% of our budgeted line item. So that actually equals to $46,171. We still have 2 more months left.
No phone calls, please.
Also, an update that the B polls are still coming in. Some now are in the stages of having some late fees and penalties. So I've still been ongoing helping residents, business owners, either via phone or they come in to fill out their paperwork. No real problems there. Aside from that, I have really no further things to add.
Questions from the dais? Councilman Shan, nothing?
No question.
Okay, Councilman Lee? Good. Over here? Great. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Mayor, I was just going to make the recommendation so to bring the chief back up and let him.
Yeah, I'm right on it.
Just in case.
Absolutely, yep.
There's another call.
No, absolutely.
I didn't know he smiled. John couldn't smile?
He smiles sometimes.
Really?
Sometimes he smiles. I'd like to recognize John tonight for two things. The first one is kind of a funny story. The second one is much more important. During the month of April, we had an emotionally disturbed person walk up to the police department and ask what direction was Washington, D.C. To Officer Gregory while he was, I guess, getting his vehicle ready for the workday. Officer Gregory followed through with why was he going to D.C., and he said that the president had stolen his brain and that he was on his way to kill him. This normally we would say that someone just needs a little bit of help, but this through John talking to him, found out that he had made his way all the way from Texas to here in 2 weeks' time, and was now 30 minutes away from Washington, D.C. So we called the Secret Service, and they quickly came, and we interviewed they interviewed the suspect. I hate when tall people stand behind me or near me. Thank you.
Don't have a whole lot of. Never mind. You're a giant in our eyes.
They interviewed the suspect, and he ultimately became very violent. And John and Prince William officer had to step in and restrain him. And he was taken into custody. We like to joke that John saved the president's life that night. But I think more than likely he would have made it to D.C. and he probably would have his life been taken trying to jump the fence or something like that. He had it in his mind that he lived there. And like I said, normally you just chalk it up, but this guy had made it a long way in 2 weeks' time with no vehicle. And also he had a hatchet and a machete. So I think he was pretty serious about what he thought was right. So due to John's questioning and being able to determine that this guy was a little more serious than what we were thinking, he ended up saving a life that day with that guy, I think. So, and the second thing is, like I said, a little more serious and important. On August 15th, at 3:30 in the morning, Officer Gregory responded to a call of a motor vehicle crash at I-66.
August?
I'm sorry, did I say August? April, I'm sorry. April 15th at 3:30, he responded to a vehicle crash at Interstate 66 at mile marker 40. When John got on scene, the vehicle, when he got to the vehicle, he realized the driver was not in it. He was able to determine that the driver had lost control and hit the overpass and then hit the guardrail 2 more times after that. So a total of 3 collisions with the roadway, and was sitting by itself in the middle of the road. The driver wasn't there. So we immediately begin to wonder why he's not there. Was he drunk? Was he fleeing from the police at this point? So John begins to go through the vehicle and ends up finding the gentleman's ID and registration. Someone else found a cell phone, and it was they were able to call the parents and determine it was an 18-year-old male that was in the vehicle, that he didn't have any, they weren't aware that he had any reason to be in Haymarket. And it was determined that something may be up, that this driver was maybe not fleeing from the police because he left his ID and his cell phone and everything to identify himself. So John immediately began searching the immediate area, both sides of the interstate, to see if he had wandered off from being injured. At that point, there were multiple Prince William officers on scene because John had called for assistance there, and a state trooper also got on the scene. On Interstate 66, the troopers handle all the accidents on there for us. John and the trooper, who he also knows through his time in Loudon, came to a mutual decision that maybe they should call for Fairfax One helicopter to see if there was someone that had wandered off into the woods. Now, I was told by a sergeant of Prince William County the day after this that that's not a normal decision that Prince William would have made, but based on all the factors, John and the trooper made that decision to see if it's possible that the guy was injured. Approximately, and through the timeline, I'm going fast through this, but the timeline was about an hour and a half before Fairfax One showed up on scene. It went up, it did a big loop of the town to see if they could see someone in the outer rings, and then they started to do loops closer to 66. At that time, they spotted something in the wood line just about 300 yards off of 66, up a steep, muddy hill, and what they thought was motionless and laying on the ground. They directed the officers to the general area, and Officer Gregory was the first to spot and the first to get to the gentleman. Found out that he was injured on the ground, that he was disoriented, and Officer Gregory then went immediately from police officer mode to emergency medical technician mode. He is also an EMT, and began administering first aid and CPR to the 18-year-old young man that was laying on the ground. It was later determined that he had 2 punctured lungs and a ruptured spleen, along with head injuries. And it was also determined that had the helicopter not been called, and he had not had that foresight to do that, and they had not found him, he was in rough shape and is still in rough shape now, but had they not found him even 2 hours after the accident, he would have died right here 300 yards from this building in our town. So I have the video, and it's amazing to see him turn from police officer to EMT immediately when he got to the guy, the body cam. And if you go on our Facebook page, you can see the video from the helicopter, their feed as they're looking down. You can see the FLIR image of the victim's body and the officers moving in. And then you get to the body cam footage, which is chilling to watch, and you can see him actually saving a guy's life. So he'll be recognized several other ways through police agencies and Prince William Chamber of Commerce in the future. But I just wanted to specifically point out Officer Gregory, because that night his decision saved a life. So good job.
Chief. That's a typical reason why we're proud of our police department, Chief Lands and his. But I want to point out to Chief Lands, the first gentleman you talked about, he wasn't from Texas originally. He just came from there.
Clarification. Okay, next item on our report, we've got page 45, Denise Andrews.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Just a few updates for you tonight. Actually should read the 2018 Earth Day in Haymarket. It was held on April 21st at the Haymarket Community Park from 9 to 12 noon. We did a beautification of the park. Thank you to all staff and town council and all the board members that attended Earth Day at the park. Also want to thank Girl Scout, Brownie, and Daisy Troops 90064 and 90016 for their assistance in planting wildflowers in the park, as well as help with the community garden. And on that note, I want to thank Alexander Kelly and Boy Scout Troop 91. Alexander could not be here today. He's actually at his sister's graduation, college graduation in Florida. but he will be attending the meeting in June so we can show our appreciation for what a wonderful, beautiful job he did with the community garden. If you hadn't had the opportunity yet to go up to the garden, please do. We have 16 beautiful boxes that are growing everything from vegetables to herbs and also flowers. We still have boxes that need adoption, so if you're interested in adopting a box at the community garden, please let me know. Also yesterday, I had the pleasure of spending 4 beautiful hours with members of the senior class from Battlefield High School. They actually finished the beautification projects yesterday. We were able to fill in the gravel in both driveways where there were holes in the gravel, as well as they finished the weeding around the house, as well as they even de-weeded between the brick pavers. So they did a wonderful job, laid out the topsoil where the old PD used to be, as well as finished mulching. So spent 4 hours doing that yesterday, and I just want to thank those members of Battlefield Senior High, the class of 2018, for doing that. Let's see. We have the Town Business Roundtable coming up soon on Monday, May 21st. It will be hosted by the Fauquier Bank from 4 to 5:30. And we have a special guest speaker, Anne Marie Mayer, she is the Director of Tourism for Prince William County. So I urge you, if you can attend this meeting, please do. She is going to be letting us know exactly what the county is doing as far as tourism, the new things they have on the horizon, and how the town of Haymarket plays a part in that role. On Sunday, May 20th, I will be a guest speaker at St. Paul's Episcopal Church. I'm talking about the town, its history, as well as new things that are going on in the town, and that's going to be on Sunday, May 20th at 9:30 a.m. Also, something there'll be a little bit movement at the park tomorrow. We just hired a company called Duty Calls, and they will be installing 4 pet way stations. One will actually be in the courtyard right beside the museum, and the other 3 will be at the Haymarket Community Park. We actually have 2 sponsors for those pet way stations. One of them is A Dog's Day Out, which is owned by Jim Payne and his wife. And also we have a sponsor, VCA Healthy Paws is also one of the sponsors of the pet way stations. On May 23rd, Chick-fil-A will have their annual Military Appreciation Day at Haymarket Community Park. The Appreciation Day will take place between 4 and 7 p.m. They had their Appreciation Day there last year as well. They'll have a moon bounce, they'll have games, prizes, and a free meal for anyone who is military or former military and their family members. And that'll be on Wednesday, May 23rd at the park. This Saturday is our next Walk a Mile with Mayor and Town Council. We will be meeting here in front of Town Hall at 10 a.m. So come on out and support us on Saturday, May 12th. Also, A Dog's Day Out will have their groundbreaking ceremony on Wednesday, May 9th at 8:30 a.m. At the location on Fayette Street. Any questions from council at this time?
Just that 131 days until Haymarket Day. So
Yes. We will be discussing Haymarket Day next week as well at our events committee meeting on the 16th.
Okay.
Yes.
Great. Questions for
I
Denise?
like the Facebook post with the battlefield.
Yes.
With the young ladies there. Those are things I like to see.
Absolutely.
Any other
And
questions?
on another note, Battlefield, the senior class is interested, and I wanted to bring this forward to council tonight. They're interested in doing their end of the year senior graduation barbecue at the park. So if you could take that in consideration, that would be on, I believe, Thursday, May 24th.
Okay.
They would have to provide their own restroom facilities because their class actually has over 800 students in it, but I think probably between 2 and 3 will be there.
Well, okay. Looks like the chief is taking notes about that.
Yeah, so I will be discussing it in further detail with the chief. But they
All right.
had asked me yesterday, would that be a possibility if they could have their senior class barbecue at our park?
I think we see heads nodding yes, so I don't see any objection. Great. Okay, any other questions for Denise? Seeing none, thank you so much, appreciate it. All right, next up, Mr. Shiro, we're on page 47 of our packet.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I'll just hit some of the highlights. You have my report in your packet, so not to keep us any longer than we have to. Under the administration part, worked with the town clerk, with the county election officials, and setting up the space for the town election was held here. Business and community relations, assisted with some of the Earth Day preparation. And we're also reviewing some of the banners that we're looking at purchasing for Haymarket. Of course, with finance, we've been working with the treasurer and the budget, which was presented this evening. Planning and zoning, been working with some of the bonding requirements with the town planner and also with the Crossroad Village Center submission, going through some of those documents, and also with the blight enforcement efforts from the zoning administrator standpoint. Property maintenance, we obtained bids and had roof replaced on the Copper Cricket and Harrover House at the park. We also worked with the county adult detention center workforce to provide some free labor force at the park, and I think they did a nice job with those buildings and the painting, and I think that's a resource that we might look to in the future for some of these projects. Certainly it was worth what we paid, which was zero, so I can't beat that. Also been working with the Harrover House. There's some issues with the groundwater and water infiltration in the basement. I had the sump pump repaired there, but it's still, during heavy rainfall, we're getting a lot of water in that basement. And I think we found that it's coming in, I think, where the gas connection's going into the basement. It looks like some of the sidewall there is deteriorated, and that's probably where the majority of the water is coming in. I think there are probably other areas as well. That seems to be the largest portion of it coming in there. I'm still showing some of the vacant space upstairs to potential renters. Had to issue one notice of default this past month, but I'm happy to report that it's current now. And working with our landscape contractor on some of the projects for the upcoming season with the mowing and watering the flower beds and what have you, and implementing some of those services. We did complete the modified drawings for the building rehab with Rinker. And I had the drawings here, and I've had some interest from some of the contractors that are taking a look at it. At this time, I've had like 3 contractors, and I've had at least one preliminary bid or bid estimate on it. A little more detailed drawings are supposed to be forthcoming next week, and we'll circle back with those. And I'm meeting with one more contractor this week to take a look at them. So some interest in the project, and I don't think the numbers are going to be as bad as we thought they might be. So,
Yep, we're there.
Yeah. So, unless there are any other questions on anything, that's it for me.
Questions? Nope. All right, great.
Thank
you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, our next item is our dangerous structure resolution. Martin, maybe you can help. I think you formulated this and maybe have some background regarding it.
Right. So, Mayor, this is a matter that takes the next step that's logical after the adoption of the dangerous structures ordinance that you already have on the books, and that is to assign responsibility for its implementation. And there are other ways of doing this. that this one gives blanket authority to the zoning administrator to provide the notices and to take the steps necessary for the remedying of potentially dangerous structures. And then the zoning administrator would report back to town council on the actions taken. So this implements the $50,000 line item that you have in your budget for blight abatement. Part of that money would go to this category because you'll be looking at potentially putting money into securing the outside of dangerous structures, so that if there are holes in the roof, holes in the wall, other sorts of situations that provide ways for water to get inside the building and thereby continue the deterioration, you can mothball the building. We're not going to do any interior renovations. We're not going to do any kind of beautification. This is simply to stop the damage from occurring, because when damage from weather gets into buildings, it just makes them more and more dangerous and less likely to be salvaged in the long run. So that's the idea behind that. Sandra, any answer any questions?
Okay. So what resolution number would it be? Yep. We'll find that out. Any questions regarding the resolution while we wait?
While she's doing that, do you want to skip over to
Council time?
council member time?
Yep, let's do that. Actually, let's go through updates. Anything?
Mr. Mayor, before
Sure.
you move on, is any of this, can we get back any of this investment?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. We will get our money back.
So what happens, Councilman Morris, is that after the town puts the money into rehabbing these buildings, we place a lien on it. That's referenced in here, I believe. And then it's referenced in the statute, in the ordinance, rather. That's what it is. And we collect that money just as taxes are collected, so that after a period of 2 years, if it remains unpaid, then the property can be sold for non-payment of the lien, and we can recoup that money at that time.
Okay, good, thank you.
All right. So, Planning Commission update?
There was no meeting,
Okay.
so nothing to report.
ARB?
Is that because there wasn't a quorum?
Pardon?
Is that because there wasn't a quorum?
I think that was the primary reason. Yeah.
But there are vacancies. Good, just wanted to get that out.
Thank you, sir.
Still researching? Okay. ARB update?
We are working on, we talked a lot about the blight. We identified the buildings, put them in priority order as for the town planner to continue on to get that cleaned up. We approved the deck offense. I don't know. It was
Well, the main
something
thing.
simple. Something simple. We do have the historic walk on June 1st. What's the time, Denise? 7 p.m. We'll be doing the museum, School of Rock, that building, Bond's house, the, what's this, my mind is so blank, what's the historic name of her house? The, thank you, the McCormick House, as well as St. Paul's Church.
Okay.
So that's in conjunction with Prince William County. So spend about 15 minutes at each site and it'll last an hour, so.
Okay. You have a resolution number? Okay. Okay. Sure, too. All right. Okay, so we have a resolution number. Just need a motion.
I move to adopt resolution R-2018-2.
Second.
Motion been seconded by Councilwoman Edwards. Discussion on the motion. Roll call vote, please.
Yes.
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 All right, great. take our next step there, Ms. Lockhart. Okay, back to another, I guess the mobile data terminals, are we going to take that off the listing now? Is that, further update on that? All right, great. Councilmember time. Councilman Shannon.
Mr. Mayor, I have nothing other than, it was kind of exciting the last couple of weeks with the elections and all, and I know Vice Mayor has some comments. I think he wanted read or whatever.
We're going to enter those into the minutes.
But
Yep.
I got to tell you, I think it was exciting, and to see the town come out to vote. There were some good questions that day. What made my day that day, well, besides being elected, was when a young lady showed up with her 2 children, and who I don't believe any of us had met, but she recognized us from looking at the pictures and all, and she said, told her 2 children, maybe 5 or probably 4 and 6 years old or something, oh, there's one of the councilmen, this is Councilman Shannon, and introduced us. And then she came in, and they all 3 came out with a vote. Of course, we know the 2 children didn't vote. But I was impressed. When we get, everyone should vote, regardless of who you vote for. You should vote. I think that's a duty that you should do. But when you bring children and you educate them on that, that just made my day. So I unfortunately don't recall the young lady's name, but if she's watching this, kudos to you. So that's all I have.
All right, Councilman Leake.
Yes, sir. Just congratulations to everyone who was reelected, and for the folks who ran for the first term and got elected. It was great to see everyone come out in our democratic process with everyone coming out to vote and seeing everyone. And I'm glad that we were able to beat the county's prediction of only 10% coming out and vote, and we definitely crushed that and went past that. So it was great to see everyone come out and be able to vote. Also like to take a moment and thank Ms. Aiken and Mr. Swinford for taking the time to come up here and vote. And they both came up and made sure that they didn't let anything stop them from coming out and doing their due diligence. And so just thank you to both of them for coming out and making the drive up here to be able to do it. And Mr. Swinford was in good spirits. I think he made a joke saying he's going to end up walking back home or something along those lines. And he's just what a great guy, and Miss Aiken coming up as well. And so staff, thank you for doing what you do. Police department as well as town administration staff. You all do so much behind the scenes that we don't see on a daily basis, but this town wouldn't run without you. And so if there's anything that you all ever need from us or anything that you need, just let us know. I know you have a great business manager who's leading the way and leading the charge. And the best thing about Jerry is Jerry will never walk in front of you. He'll walk right beside you, and he'll say, we're going to do this in stride together. And that's the great thing about a great leader, making sure that you're walking in stride with your staff rather than out in front of them. Mayor, no further.
Okay. All right. Councilwoman Edwards.
Nothing. I'm just excited for the next 2 years, and I think there's going to be a lot of positive change. And I'm just going to drown out all the negative. I'm going to listen to it, but I'm just going to keep doing what I know is right for the people of this town and what I know that they want, and not listen to the few negative people who always find negative things to say about people.
Councilman Cole.
Congratulations to all who did run and won. Thank you very much for your service. Only other comment I have is thanks to the police. Read those daily reports, see a lot of the school bus checks, and pleased to note that there are no violations, but it's because you're there. So thank you. Keep that going. That's all I have.
Right. Councilman Morse.
Thank you, sir. If I can, Vice Mayor asked me to share these comments, and I would love to share them. First, congratulations to the citizens of Haymarket for participating in your local elections, and congratulations to those who have been elected to serve My personal thanks for putting yourself out there, and I wish you well as you contemplate your role in moving Haymarket forward, representing all our citizens, businesses, and stakeholders. Best wishes for a successful tenure beginning June 1st, 2018. Special recognition to Steve and Debbie Aiken for their efforts to engage publicly an awareness campaign about ALS. Channeling your energy during this challenging time is worthy of acknowledgement, as it helps to raise awareness about ALS and the need for significant funding for research and education to find a cure. Thank you so much. Finally, I'd like to point out, as a father and family member of law enforcement, the importance of reminding all our citizens of the upcoming National Police Week from May 13th through May 19th. Also, National Peace Officers Memorial Day is May 15, 2018. This day is an observance in the United States that pays tribute to the local, state, and federal peace officers who have died or who have been disabled in the line of duty. The week-long observance reminds us of the need for special recognition, thanks to Haymarket Police Department and all of our law enforcement personnel who put themselves on the line every day. That's on behalf of Vice Mayor Joe Passanello. And for me personally, congratulations to the recently elected and re-elected officials. I'm really proud to know that Haymarket and the town of Haymarket, the government of the town of Haymarket, we're in a better place than we were 3.5 years ago. And I'm excited for the direction that our town is heading into. And for Chief and his staff, I want to thank you for the privilege that I've had, especially through the Finance Committee, just to be able to represent you guys. So thank you. Mr. Mayor, thank you.
All right. The problem with going last, everybody always kind of thinks. Yeah, exactly. So, of course, I have to be honest, when on Election Day, to be able to see Mr. Swinford come up in his chair that's totally controlled by just him blowing into a tube that gives him direction, of being able to maneuver that chair up Washington Street and cross over. I'd be lying if I didn't tell you that I had tears in my eyes to see him come out, as well as Mrs. Aiken coming up in her chair to be able to vote. Those people can come out to vote. You know, no one else has an excuse for not coming to vote. But it was really great. There again, I think we said enough tonight as far as I think everybody else had shared a lot of my other comments, but I want to thank everyone. I think it's really exciting to be able to be a part of a vision of a business-friendly walking town, you know, some almost 8 years ago as we went down these paths, and to be able to then have a great council to sit behind this dais to watch the way it's supposed to happen. And as a wise man once told me, that if you're not looking, don't look back, because you need to be looking forward. I think I misquoted you, but I think you got the point. Yeah. Yeah. So with that, I'll entertain a motion.
When's our next work session?
No, work session.
When? We have 2 more meetings before June.
It's public.
They're public.
Public hearings.
And she's going to send out calendar invites.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
Very good.
Second.
All right. And all in favor?
Aye.
All right. Thank you all.
Thank you.
I can't believe it's going to go into overtime, Connor. Capitals game's about to go into overtime. They may not just win.
Get spiffy from here up. Get spiffy from here up. You too, Martin.
But I went to one game
and I loved it. It's so fast-paced. I loved it. Really, I loved it.